I'll make a motion to open the
As long as that one's right.
Monday, June
Everybody
3rd,
else is right, yeah.
Southampton Village Planning Board work session and public meeting.
Second?
Seconded? Jane?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay. The first matter is 550 and 554 Hill Street, which is an extension to January 6, as noted. Second matter is still under review, which is a tennis court at 500 Captain's Neck.
Alan, you got to, you need discussion on your first application. That's a request for an extension.
Requested the extension.
Oh, excuse me, it's a request. I missed the request part, excuse me. Okay, would anyone on the board like to discuss this extension?
We'll ask the applicant for a background.
Okay, a background for another extension? I thought it had been extended, excuse me.
Yeah, no. The sole reason for the
applicant-
extension has to do with the health department, which is a familiar theme.
Yep.
I can spend an hour telling you what I've been through with them, but I think you know what the substance of it
Can
will
you
be.
briefly
That's
summarize what the easements that are required are, Gil?
to service the water lines that come in.
So would that be over the property on Captain's Neck? that they're coming in?
Actually, we're bringing those easements in from Hill Street, so that the Captain's Neck lane is not being provided with the water line easement. So I gave them draft easements for access from Hill Street.
So in other words, to bring the water to the back properties, you have to get easements in the front properties?
Right, correct. And they were happy with that. We've shown it on the map. The subdivision map hasn't been changed at all, except to show the water line easement within the easement you've already seen. No changes to the map at all.
Thank you, Roy. Any other
I don't have
questions?
any problem with it.
I would like to get your consensus then, and based upon the nature and the history of this application, prepare a written resolution for your determination then at the July meeting.
Written resolution of what?
Extension.
A written resolution of the extension? Okay. Is
I
there-
take it the consensus is for approval?
Yeah, well, I just have one question for you. Typically, we've done other, I guess the magic word is an extension, because it has to do with the timing on this one, I
Correct,
assume.
you're extending the approval
I want to
until,
get the ground rules right for
Right.
everybody. And Zach, who's new, and Jane says, so since it's an extension, it is not just, a mutual extension under the normal time frame. So this is an extension that is
well, this is the
required by the
this is the
code.
second extension you've had, which is unusual, but given the circumstances
Oh, yeah.
as described to you, it's reasonable. However, rather than you approving it orally tonight, I would like to draft a written resolution.
Because the matter's been before the board for 5 years or
That's
a long
correct.
time.
And
It's-
that's
it's
because of that,
many
that's
iterations.
because of that I believe you need a written resolution.
Thank you.
So if you'll just
That answers my bad questions.
move
Thank you.
to adjourn it for all, the request to adjourn for all purposes to the July meeting.
So moved.
Subject to receiving something to sign.
Correct.
Is there something you need from me on this?
No.
Okay. I want it to be noted that we made a timely request
Yeah.
because it doesn't expire.
Duly noted.
Okay, okay.
The law
I
has
think the
always-
original extension said to and including the meeting of July.
It did, yeah. Yeah, so that's yeah, correct. So as long as I know there's no issue with just a formal resolution written, that's fine.
So Bo's motion then is.
I made a motion to adjourn the 550, 554 Hill Street application at the request of the applicant until the written resolution is drafted for the July meeting.
For the extension, we're adjourning the discussion to get the extension.
The written resolution approving the extension until the July meeting.
Thank you, Bo.
Second it.
Seconded. Jane?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, next item is the tennis court down on Captain's Neck Lane, where the site plan is still under review. Kathy, that was one that had something to do with trees, as I remember.
There were some discrepancies in the design between what was shown on the plan and what was in the calculations for the drainage pools, and there was a couple other minor requests, but we haven't seen anything from the applicant yet.
Thank you. So I guess Oh, we don't need to make a resolution to,
No, just
they're not here or anything?
motion to adjourn for all purposes.
Okay.
How long have you been waiting for that?
Okay, well, it's about 3 meetings.
It's been a few month meetings, yeah.
It's about 3 meetings of delay.
Well, let's note then for the record tonight that if there's no further submission between now and the July meeting, that you probably will entertain a motion to dismiss the application.
Okay? I'll make a motion.
Meanwhile, adjourn it for all purposes.
No, I'll make a motion that we adjourn Chickamauga LLC at 500 Capistrano Lane for all purposes, and that if they are not before us
Well,
at
do
the
you-
July
yeah.
meeting, we will entertain a motion that it be,
Do you wish to authorize secretary to send them a letter so advising?
or Kathy, whoever does the letter,
Antoinette?
would you?
All right.
Okay. Antoinette, would you do that? That's the motion,
I second that.
seconded.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Okay, again, we have John Danielson at 30 Stanford Place, who's before the ZBA working on, I believe, still the conundrum of parking matters, which has been before us for over a year, and I guess since it's at the ZBA, we're awaiting. So I think we have to have a motion that we will adjourn it for all purposes pending what happens at the ZBA. Anyone second that?
I do.
Okay.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
okay. Now we have Hampton's HDA, which I call the new bank at Bowden Square, or the possible new bank at Bowden Square. And that is,
You have a decision in the
Yes.
file approving the application. Permanent vote.
and we've got the things with the village and all that. Though I was testing my memory because this started before I was chairman, everything else.
Started 3 years ago.
Yeah, and I went back as best I could today in the file, which is one reason I was late. And I have a concern that I've expressed with you before, and I would like to
I
add,
don't remember any expression
know.
of concern prior, but I know you did try and
I did, because...
contact the building department this morning.
No, I just said I had a concern to tell them. I thought that the resolution on page 3 of 6 on one of the...
What was your concern?
Whereas is, on item 5 says that on April 2nd, which was a meeting that one of the problems was a meeting I missed, I was out of the country on the April 2nd of 18, it said the application had progressed, which it had, with a number of items that were listed, all of which were quite true, except it was my recollection that for various other reasons, concerns over the impact of the project on the possible future widening of North Seed Road, which is not, it's been dealt with, it's come up several times, was brought up initially by our council for something that ought to be considered, and
No, it
it was,
wasn't brought up by council.
I'm just telling you what my best record, and I've gone through the minutes and the videos when available. A lot of the videos and meetings and minutes of meetings are not available from the time it was, which is in the last 3 meetings of the 17th. And the record shows in the minutes that I could find, particularly for the meetings that I missed, that the idea was then introduced, the parenthesis I would put in item 5 after the word concerns would be, this is for discussion, introduced by council to the planning board and in minutes of the January confirmed by the mayor subsequently. This is an issue that's come before us a couple of times because there's the railroad bridge and the widening of it has to be dealt with in our last meeting because it would be nice to have another lane or two north of the bridge instead of south of the bridge. The widening of North Sea Road is a municipal issue. It is
Right.
not part of our planning for
Right.
us to do. We review it under traffic
Correct.
studies, okay? But I
And
think
that's
that-
not dealt with in the decision.
But this says that it was, the recital was to make the record complete. And I know that the applicant has agreed to it all along. For them, it's not a cost. They have agreed for, I think, a 7-foot setback along the way. I think is what the...
Well, it's described in the decision.
This just says that whereas of April 2, dealing with concerns over the impact of North Sea Road, saying that the meeting had progressed, had identified by the board that warranted detailed things. So I didn't think the board had identified them.
There were two aspects of this, there still are. One is the 7-foot strip at the corner, the southwest corner of the property that progresses northward to 0 feet, about 170 feet. Then there is another depiction in the folder about if there's a 10-foot dedication. So that there,
If the road gets widened.
if the road gets widened, but that's a matter for the trustees, not this board.
That's right. All I was saying was, before the board, it says that the board, when I read the
That refers to,
draft
that
decision
refers
that
to
I
the
got.
7 feet. That's part of the site plan.
Okay, as I read the draft that came to me a few hours late on Friday, okay, when I read it, it did not, as written, it did not appear to pertain to the 7 feet. It seemed to.
The 7 feet is mentioned in it.
Oh, I know elsewhere, but not here, it isn't.
Well, no, it's not.
On this whereas, it says, with the board, if I read it at the beginning of the board, as of the date, several issues had been identified by the board that warranted detailed consideration, to wit, the impact of the projected future widening of North Sea Road, and that's what caught my attention. Not the corner, but the widening. I understand there are two issues. But the way it was written didn't seem to be the 7 feet. Okay, and so that's what caught my, and I want to get it done. It would be nice to get this guy to see who the bank's going to be and all. I don't want to delay it or anything else, but that's what I went to work on Friday, and I couldn't see the building department till this morning to say specifically what it was. I would have sent it to everyone by edit, but I couldn't edit the submission because it didn't come by an editable email. I had to do it manually.
Well, what is your draft?
It was necessary to add
No, did you make a written draft of the change?
I've done it in pencil because I was told
Okay,
it.
right.
Right there, yes, sir. It's, I would say, and 5 concerns introduced by council to the planning board, and Roy was the chairman at that point, introduced, because the topic of future widening came up, unrelated to the thing, but just because of the corner after the 7 was discussed, the widening of the road, and I would say introduced by, which is what the minutes show,
What minutes?
minutes that are available that were taken of the meetings of this board in dealing with this process over
What
about a-
minutes? Prepared by Antoinette or the actual tape?
No, but there is no tape of any discussion because there's several of the tapes are missing. When the discussion occurred, it was in the final months of 17. The minutes of, I'll give you the date. It was acknowledged finally that the minutes of January, no visual on that, Roy. This is just, there were some minutes where they didn't have, I went back in the record, because the building department said to look at the Charlie's visuals, which I did. Some of those were missing for that period. But the minutes that were there, not all the minutes were available for 17, but they were for most of 18. And I gave you my apology. I was out of the country for some of that, so I was catching up to how it progressed from its introduction.
Trying to get a date of the minutes that I can refer to.
8th, it was the 8th of January meeting.
So you don't wish
And the
to...
mayor was on the 29th of January, because the mayor confirmed the concern entering the file on the 29th of January, not a visual, but just the minutes recorded, that the mayor said the village, which is absolutely perfect, and makes the record clear for any future reference of this file, as to how did this board deal with North Sea Road, which we don't usually do, except if it's a planning, we were dealing mostly with Bowden Square from a traffic planning point of view. But it would be the minutes of January 29th, 18, and there was a meeting, no visual of it that's available on the village website right now, of January 8th.
All right.
Those are the two, and if those can be added by pencil or something in the resolution, then I believe
Well, I'd like to
it's clear for
confirm, I'd
all
like to
all those
confirm what,
purposes.
I'd like to confirm with those minutes.
Okay?
So
I'm not a great hunter, but I spent all day trying to find
we'll
them, and I
put
found
this
them.
over, you want to put this over then until July?
I do not want to put it over because I think we owe the applicant a decision today. So if we can vote that that will be done to conform to
What
the
what would it,
minutes.
what would it read in the edited version?
Edited version would say N5, concerns introduced, my suggestion is, because it was put before us in one of our discussions at the end of the meetings in the fall of 17, that we should consider the possible widening of North Sea Road, which is not what we normally do, but it was put before, I believe, at least one member of the owners and their counsel who was on the floor, who's here today, who said, yes, we would not have a problem that he went along with that coming up, but then it was brought into the record before us later by these 2 minutes said it was put before the board
Well, the
as
file is right
involved
there.
and then and
The file
minutes
is right there.
and confirmed by minutes of the mayor on the second meeting in January.
The minutes are right in the file.
I found them on the website.
Right there.
I didn't have that file at home today.
They're right there, though.
Okay.
I'm still not clear on what the change you want is.
It wasn't an idea of our board to deal with the widening of North Sea Road. It was to deal with the applications we have, which was driveways, 2 driveways versus 1, and access to it, which is initially an issue. Would it all come off of North Sea Road, or would any of it?
Well, Alan, why don't you then change that language to the corner? Because that's not what that refers to. You're reading that into the decision.
I agree, because the decision says the board decided that we had concerns over the impact of the
Well, we did,
widening of future North Sea Road.
we did have
You're talking about the
considerable
widening. I'm
discussion.
referring in the resolution to the 7-foot triangle, not the widening of the entire road.
All right, well, then maybe you should add, because it's not in the decision. That's okay. It's not worded in the decision right now, Bill.
I don't know what you're saying.
The 7-foot
It
issue.
is referred to in the decision later on, after that.
Yes, but
Did
not-
you resolve the 7-foot and agreed to accept it?
yes,
And it's part of the conditions that they dedicated.
the 7-foot, I agree.
It's the number 3.
No problem.
Well, that's what that paragraph refers to. If you think that it refers to the entire widening of the road, then just change the language in the decision to say, as to the 7-foot.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well,
Can I just say that, I mean, my recollection is that we had considerable discussion about the widening of the road. I think the applicant even drew up a,
Yep.
kind of a look-see of what it would be like if we did, and
'Cause it was cold.
then
Yeah.
because of certain issues, it was determined that that wasn't feasible.
That's correct. The 7-foot was something that we
I can't recall who initiated the discussion of the widening of the road, but we had considerable discussion about the widening.
And the mayor said it might get weighed, hey, somebody got to the mayor and they weighed in. Remember, the village weighed in on the widening of the road, and they weighed in through the mayor and I think Gary on the Bowden Square. We've had several out of the blue, which doesn't normally happen, weighing-ins by the trustees, not by the applicant.
But so
who's
my
before
feeling
us.
is that, it says concerns over the impact of on the possible future. So we did discuss that, so I don't see why that's a problem that it says that.
Only because it says that, as I read it, that this was something that the board had brought up as warranted for discussion. And we were responding to the mayor and to other people that this was an issue, and they dealt with it. The applicant absolutely dealt with it.
I don't think the mayor introduced the idea of widening of the road. He may have weighed in later, but,
He did.
but the initial
He did
discussion of the
before.
widening the road, I think, was by, I don't know who started it, but it was definitely between the board and the applicant. And that was, I think,
And my concern is a very specific one, which I will state for the record, and I've discussed it with Bo before, which was brought up by our council.
I didn't bring it up at a public meeting, Alan.
Okay? Then I have a bad recollection.
Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is that the applicant agrees to this.
The applicant
That's
agrees to
you
it.
know, that the
The
applicant
applicant agrees to all of
what
it.
it says in number 3,
Agrees to all of it.
7 feet,
I
we're
agree.
fine with it.
I agree. The 7-foot is absolutely done. The applicant agrees to all of it.
I do have one question. Could I possibly ask about number 3, about the offer of dedication? The dedication shall be completed. Well, isn't that something that the trustees would decide? Because we offered to dedicate, they could decide to take it sooner, they could decide to take it later.
then say application to the trustees, that'll go through the planning board, I presume,
Right, I mean,
through
if
the
they,
planning board.
I would think if they want it, they'll tell us, but they may want it in a month from now, they may want it 2
Well,
years
you
from
can
now.
always get an extension.
I just have to monitor this, because I'm not sure that they'll want it by November. That's the only, I don't want to be locked in.
That's true, that's why I extended it to that time.
Okay, all right, so
You
I'll
want
just have
longer
to-
time?
I don't know what, it's really up to the trustees.
Yeah, I know, but I just had to put a time in there at some point.
And most offers of dedication can run forever if they're on the record. If we put it, if it's a recorded document, they could do it tomorrow, they could do it 10 years from now.
How did I phrase it?
You said, "The dedication shall be completed by November."
Have the offer, why don't you
Oh, the
change it to
offer, yeah, that's
dedication?
fine, oh, yeah, that's fine, the offer of dedication, absolutely, 100%. Thank you, that's all I needed on that. That's perfect.
That's not, I can't say one way or the
Yeah, I
other.
know, that's the problem. Okay.
So, Alan, we need to change then on the condition number 3, add offer of dedication.
Does he have
Very
the-
last
where's the
sentence.
original? Does he have the original?
Yeah.
Dedication will be.
You have the original, Pam?
I'm sorry, so the change is that last sentence. Well,
Just one word.
I'll check it after.
What do you want?
Number 3,
Page 3 or?
right, no, the
page 5 of,
condition, the
page
last
5 of
page,
6, it's
condition
number 3 of the resolution.
Okay.
It says, where it refers to the date of November, Pam,
Uh-huh.
just put, instead of dedication, put the word offer in front of, offer of
Offer of dedication.
dedication.
Great, that's perfect, thank you. Perfect.
Offer of, okay. Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, so on HDA then, this is a decision that is before the board on which we will take a vote to approve it.
Approve the resolution
Sign it.
as amended.
Okay, as amended, as just submitted.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion
Thank you.
to approve the conditional resolution as amended in the matter of Hampton's HDA LLC.
I'll second it. Okay,
I'll second it.
seconded, okay. Motion seconded, vote? You want to approve this?
Yeah, I approve. I just want to say in the future, I hope we get a little bit more on board with how many banks, how many jewelry stores, how many that, just on record, I'd just like to put that down. But other than that, yes, I'm saying yes.
Nay.
Nay? Okay.
Aye.
I'll say aye, I agree with we're our 11th bank, I'm concerned. I've expressed that on the record before, I'm with
Is
you.
that your reasoning?
But
Zach?
I'll vote for this
Do you
one.
want to state that, or?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to.
This is,
There's reasons I'm not stating.
It's okay.
okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Zach. Okay, you got it recorded?
Alan, there's a bunch of maps here. I need you to sign these maps.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
It's just 3 sets, so make sure you
6-3.
have more.
Okay, I'll do them all.
And I've got the resolution.
Thank you, you have the resolution. Thank you. Bear with me a minute. Okay. I see 3 here, is that, you think that's right?
Maybe, Alan, you're going to be in the building department tomorrow?
No, I've got stuff in the way tomorrow, I won't be till Wednesday. And Jackie gets upset when I get late.
She doesn't usually write a note, so she really wanted it done.
No, she'll run her note. She gets, when I miss a couple of days, they're running a tight ship up there, and when I'm late, they get
Do
mad
it
at
at
me.
the end, Alan?
Yeah,
Why don't we do it at the end?
it's all
of the
done.
meeting?
It's all, I think it's all 3.
Okay.
Okay. Next item is McDonald's. Okay, Kathy, you were to McDonald's, we were waiting for them, I guess, to go the signs at the ARB, and you were dealing with lighting, as I
Yes,
last
we were
remember.
asking for a lighting plan, and otherwise, that's all. So we were waiting for the zoning board decision, which we received, so just waiting for
We got zoning, we
zoning
knew
board,
that.
yep, exactly.
So it was the ARB on signage,
That could be a condition of approval, but we're waiting for the lighting. plan.
lighting. Okay, so we are waiting for lighting, all right. Well, then I guess we'll do a motion to move forward.
Adjourn. Make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn McDonald's USA for all purposes until the next meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you. Okay, I will excuse myself, Roy, you're in charge for the spur, which is number 4.
Regards to BRL Hampton Road LLC at 630 Hampton Road. We are pending receipt of revised plans, and it says on my notes for this meeting that the applicant requested adjournment, but I don't see that in the file.
Me neither. I'm in the same boat as you, so.
And there's no representative from the applicant here.
Given the fact there's no representative, Roy, and that there's no request written in the file, let's assume that there was a request and adjourn it for all purposes for 1 month.
For 1 month.
Yeah,
Okay.
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Now, could you make a,
So- Adjourn
Make a motion that we adjourn this for 1 month,
based upon
based upon.
lack of representation of the applicant and lack of a written request in the file.
We have a request today for,
oh, it's just
Yeah.
not in any of our
no,
packages.
all of them are sitting right here.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Well, did they say? did they
Make a
say-
motion to adjourn.
Wait, hey, Zach, does he have a date requested, Roy, or just?
It doesn't
It
have,
does not provide any date they
All
want.
right, so let's adjourn it for 1 month.
Make a motion to adjourn it for a month.
Approve the applicant's request.
Approve the applicant's request to adjourn it for 1 month.
You want this?
Did I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Jean?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Telling Alan to come back in, or
We need Alan back.
Alan?
Okay, next matter is on the Windmill Lane next to the dog park, we have a building that's, and the pending information coming to you was about the parking, I believe, and the lot lines in the back where it goes up the hill by that,
So a plan did come in, revised May 12th, that has shown the area to be cleared, the area to be regraded at 1-on-3, and ground cover to be added. I prefer to have a little more detail. There is no supplemented landscaping, as was suggested. And then the last thing was that the building inspector had asked that the current system be certified, the sanitary system be certified, determine if they will have to go to health department. So that's something that we would need in writing. But I think that otherwise this could move forward with a public hearing.
okay,
We have
well,
enough information for a public hearing.
I
Can you hear from Rob?
couple of those.
okay.
Yep, okay, great.
The only other
We can
issue I
hear
think
from-
we heard before was something they wanted to possibly revise, maybe that's got to do with the cover or location of the dumpster.
Yes, they located the
Just there
dumpster.
was
yeah.
probably just a detail to get it done.
Yeah, I can, Robert Fischetti for the applicant.
Thank you.
I can comment on a couple of things.
Nice to have you back.
Thanks. So yes, the parking is on the survey, the clearing line is on the survey. We will stabilize the slope, as it's mentioned. The visual buffer that's requested, I did I wish they would have come out a little bit better, but I did take photos, sort of fortunate, I guess, for my client. Hopefully, the neighbor to the rear put up a wood stockade fence right at the top of the hill. So,
This is an addition. I used to go to the doctor's office.
yes, the neighbor to the rear, so the house to the rear put up a fence across the back.
Yeah.
So that house is essentially not visible from this property. As you can see just the bit of the top of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if that, we're hoping that will lighten the load a little bit on what we may be required to do for a visual buffer, since that does seem to accomplish most of that. The dumpster, they did look into it. There doesn't appear to be any need to cut into the slope. And then the septic, there was, Chip Pearson and Ed Armis were out there just in the last day or so. They should have a certification in the next couple of days, but the results are really that there's 3 cesspools and no tank, so it's a pretty old system that's in there now. That's really all the additional information I have to share. I don't know if the board had anything minimum required for the landscaping, or if there's any thoughts on that. I know my client would like to keep it somewhat minimalist as far as things go, and he's not really changing the exterior of the building. They were sort of focusing inside for now, but
We have an ancient driveway on the dog lot, really of concern with the neighbor behind, so if we schedule it for public hearing, we may hear.
okay, yeah,
You
understood.
will hear.
Understood, yeah,
We will
yeah.
listen to
Some opinions, yes.
people hearing.
Yeah, understood.
And just one other
Kathy?
thing, so
Sure.
the plan was to restripe the parking lot?
Well, I believe that they're going to end up pulling up some of the parking because of the septic anyway, so I think they'll end up, but I don't know. But restripe, I'm sorry, yes, they will, they'll paint the spaces.
New marks,
yes.
like the village is doing all right. New marks.
Yes,
Are they
yeah,
gonna-
I think they'll probably hope to wait and see how
Are they
the
gonna have to
septic impacts that.
repave the whole thing, or?
I don't know specifically where it lies, because I haven't seen the certification yet, but that'll be on the certification, location and type of system and everything.
Good. Okay, are there any other questions, Jane?
Yeah.
Down the hill from you.
We could at this point, we did review the EAF that was submitted and
Yeah.
compared the Part 2 and Part 3, and didn't identify any significant adverse impacts.
You gave this
So
out
the
before.
board could go ahead and adopt a neg deck. They'll need that if they're going to health department, so,
That's right.
so I'll pass that up.
I reviewed it, and it's in order.
Yep. Yeah, we got over that before. Signature, a neg deck on this existing. Any questions on that? Then I guess we need a motion to adopt a neg deck, and then a motion to schedule a public hearing.
I make a motion to adopt a neg deck on the 205 Windmill
205 Windmill
Lane
Lane.
application.
Second it.
Seconded?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
So now I'll sign that, and then a motion then would be to schedule a public hearing for the next time.
July 1st.
July 1, is it? Okay.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Seconded? Jane?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. This goes in the file, right? That goes in the file for me. Okay, the next matter, after my apologies for the delay, is the lot line modification behind Mulligan. Mulligan is the name of the house in front. It's Ray Floyd's house, as you come down on the right side of Captain's Neck, and this is when I looked at it, this is an application to give land from the front lot to the little lot in the back, but not have it go all the way through the block, so that it doesn't have 2 front yards. At least that's what I'm told is the plan. And by not having two front yards, it means that this narrow lot, if it gets, we can fix up the division between the two satisfactorily, according to Kathy's memorandum. There may be some division lines. We'll probably leave room for an application to go before the ZBA for a swimming pool in the back, because it's in the backyard, not a front yard.
That's what we want to hear from the applicant.
That's the plot. And if the applicant is here
Yeah,
for the
applicant's
division,
representative
sir?
is here. Yeah, the applicant's representative, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street.
And the applicant is, this is a couple from Florida or something?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, and they own, they
When's the-
individually own Floyd's old house, and as you know, the Floyds control the lot next door, and they have bought it in the name of their
They bought both.
LLC, so they
Yeah.
control both.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And Kathy has pretty well summarized what I was going to say on this.
We got the revised memorandum this afternoon.
Yeah, I got the revised memorandum, and the items she requested are reasonable. The reason for it is, quite frankly, to give the smaller lot a backyard. Right now, it doesn't have a backyard. It's grossly undersized under the zoning. This will bring it up to a little bit more than half conformity. They may want to put a small pool or something like that in the backyard, and without any variances. Now,
So I went and looked at the file, which surprised me, and was told that the reason it doesn't go, I was given the reason, I didn't invent it, by the building department for why it doesn't go all the way through.
Right, and you're exactly right. I don't want to have a
I
back-to-back
don't
front.
want
That's what it is.
In any way, but that's what the building
No, that's,
department.
and the reason for it, and you note that we have a significant amount, I think it's a 15-foot wide strip. They will want to have enough room to do some sufficient plantings so that when they drive down that, I guess, whatever street it is.
That's South Hill Street.
South Hill Street, when they drive in and come into the house on Captain's Neck, they won't be looking at the backyard of the smaller lot. So there's enough width there to have a reasonable planting buffer. So we think it makes a lot of sense, and it doesn't require any variances. Kathy is right that there is a generator in that section that'll have to be relocated, and we can certainly show the calculations, the setbacks and all that. It more than conforms with all of that, so we'll show that on the plans.
Does that go back for us, is that a condition of the reconfiguration of the land, or you got to go before the ZBA for that?
No. No, I don't have to go, I have to go to the health department, but not the ZBA, because actually I'm making something more conforming.
I know, I'm
So I don't
all
need any, thank God, I don't need any variances for this.
for- Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so I guess that we probably need to make the reorganization of that generator, whatever, something to do with the front houses.
Right, that's what it's, I assume that's what it's for, so they'll have to relocate it, and we'll show where it's going.
Okay. So I think if, it seems to me if the board would like to approve this now, we can always, we'd make it, Bo, can we make it a condition or not? What
You
should
should
we?
you should have a public hearing.
Do you do that on lot line modifications?
Yeah,
I'm not
we
sure that
have.
I'm not sure that you hold public hearings on them.
We do it between, the common owner shifting their lines. Whatever the precedent is, I mean,
I don't recall, I've done a number of them, I don't recall them being a subject.
We did on
You did, we'll do it.
South Main Street, 131, 132 South Main Street. We had a public hearing on that. That was,
The last one I did was
I
across
don't
the
think
street
you
from my
did that.
office. I
It
don't
was,
think we did one there.
Mr. Gilmartin.
If you want to do it, I don't have objection to doing it, but
Well, we'd rather have it on the record as a public hearing than not.
that's okay. So if you could schedule a public hearing on it, that'd be great.
okay. Yeah, we did it on the South Main Street. Neighbors came in because they were concerned that it was a revision of commonality.
Oh, I
It was
remember, I know the one you
It
mean,
was
yeah.
affecting their view, so it was,
I remember
Bo's
that.
right in terms of the,
Yeah, probably that was
Issues.
because it was an amendment of a previous filed map too. But if you want to schedule, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's okay.
okay, for
July.
July.
okay, a motion
I'll make a
then.
motion to schedule a public hearing for Fernandez and 41 Barnhart Street for the July public meeting.
Second it.
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I assume you have no problem with the design of it, so we'll give the additional information
I
that you want.
think what's in front of us and we're advised and by the building department makes it, but we can have a routine, see if anybody's concerned in that area.
No, that's fine. No problem. Thank you.
Okay, Murray Lane. I got a file on Murray Lane. We got McDonald's. Oh, we have someone for Murray Lane, okay. This is to the change of covenants and restrictions that were in a prior, what was in a prior decision of this board?
Pardon me?
Change on 134 Murray Lane. These are covenants and restrictions that were in a prior decision by this board?
Recently, what was it, back in 16? Bailey, what is the proposal now to amend it from
This is a
2016?
covenant that was recorded in 1976,
Why don't you
actually.
introduce yourself since we're...
For Bailey Larkin with Bennett and Reed. There was a covenant recorded against the property in 1976 when the subdivision was completed for this area. And it required that there be a common beach access between oceanfront properties. Over time, actually, all of the oceanfront properties have established their own beach access points except for this property. So they have no beach access at this point. Their adjoining neighbors have their own set of stairs significantly into their lots, so we're obviously not going to walk across their property and trespass. We're looking to have a relief of that covenant to amend it to allow this property in particular to have a beach access point. The lot's rather wide. It's not like we're going to have multiple beach access points directly next to one another. I think it's about 200 feet in width. And this is something the board has previously granted. We were here maybe 3 years ago, for 56, 72, and 88 Gin Lane. It was a 3-lot subdivision, and in that subdivision, they required them to have 2 beach access points. It was an unusual covenant because it said 2 beach access points to be used commonly between 3 lots. But in that instance, this board was willing to grant a relief. We recorded a new covenant against the property that allowed the individual properties to each then have their own beach access point. So in this instance, I gave you a copy of an aerial map in there and a copy of our survey also. You could see that every property along that strip already has a beach stair, except for this one particular property. So
Okay, so
that's what we're.
this is because this covenant that was set up anciently before this board, like 40 years ago, or
1976.
whatever it is, requires us to change it. Oh, this is different. This is different. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. There we go. So this is the last lot without their own beach
Correct.
access.
Correct.
Okay. Just parenthetically, you know all, does anyone down there care about this? Or have you- Neighbors and everybody, you're not aware of this being an issue in the neighborhood, for instance?
We had a neighbor, we were here a couple months ago for landscape plan review. The property owner, the neighboring property owner had seen the landscape plan and actually commented on it and gave us a letter saying she supported the redevelopment plan,
Okay.
because we are putting a nice buffer in on this property when it's redeveloped. But, I think all along our beach access had been shown on our plan. We've been before the ARB for the new construction, and before you with a public hearing for landscape plan review. Just this covenant that now prevents us from actually applying for stairs.
Seems clear that this applicant is approaching the situation the correct way by seeking the board's approval to create the beach access, whereas the beach access from the other ones were probably created just by people saying, we're going to build ourselves a beach access.
However,
Yeah.
our
Where was
original
the
deal in
common beach
76 is
access
was
supposed
shared.
to be?
It was
on
supposed
that?
to be between this lot and ours, and then over here. There was supposed to be 2 points.
Can we zoom in on that?
Yeah, I just want to see.
Did I have it the right way? Between the 2 lots here and here, and they have their own set of stairs established, and
Okay.
they also have their own here.
No, it's,
Is there I haven't looked at the file, Bailey. Is there a survey showing where the original common access was supposed to be?
No, it was just a covenant. It's not, actually
was
not
no
on the
survey
subdivision
depicting
map. No, it just designates which lots and between which lots there's supposed to be a
Was it
beach access.
on the common property line?
It was supposed to be on the common property line.
So the access that's built there now to the other property is not in accordance with that covenant?
Correct.
Yeah, and people did their own. There are two houses that are back from the
Right
beach,
side.
and the others are up front, and they put their own in because they were right at the dune.
The other four just put their own in.
And you see, most of them built the house up front, and this is way back like it used to be. Well, it seems to me, Bo, that we should schedule for
We
a
need to,
hearing to let-
I think we
this is a
need to
neighborhood
review
where we
this.
have to
We need to
schedule
review this, yeah.
for a hearing and let people, move ahead promptly and let them come in and complain about the beach. It's just, I think that's that's why I asked about the neighborhood. I think it's something that, the right way to do it is to have a public hearing next, don't you think, Wally, for that neighborhood, don't
I
we
do.
do it?
The question is whether to allow this applicant to do the same thing everybody else does, or tell all the other people that they did the wrong
Or
thing.
enforce the covenant as it was originally drafted.
Well, maybe a public hearing will lead to a
mean,
community's decision.
Yeah, obviously.
My thought would be to let Kathy's office review this, let me have the opportunity to confer with them, to adjourn this for all purposes to July, and then probably in July, schedule a public meeting for August.
So go through a view first.
Yeah, let us review this.
Okay.
Would that be acceptable to you?
Sure.
I'll make a motion then to adjourn the 134 Murray Lane application for all purposes at the request of the applicant until the July meeting.
Thank you.
And Kathy, the surveyor on this stuff, middle name is Taft. And all the members said you had the wrong name for Nathan Corwin from the North Fork. It's Taft. It came out of some different middle name. He's a good surveyor. He's taken over a lot of business that Jake Buckeye had years ago, which helps. Surveyors are hard to get. Okay.
There's a motion in front of you.
I second the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I agree.
Okay, now we got a vote.
Jane, yes,
Aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
review it and then go public in a month. Okay. All right, the last thing are, Anthony tells me that we were submitting, we have minutes, April 1
These ones.
for minutes. Does anybody have, we're here for that one, I think. We have a motion, most people have a complaint to approve the minutes of April 1st. I will move that we approve them.
A second.
Any discussion? Approval of April 1? Jane, you think it's close enough?
Yes, I do. I'm
Okay.
ready to say aye.
I think I abstained, right? Because I was recused for part of.
I think you have to abstain with respect to that that's
Yep.
recorded. Okay?
So every time there's minutes, you have to,
Whenever,
He can't approve minutes of something he's abstaining from.
because I
So-
stepped out. so
no,
was
I
at the whole meeting.
understand that, but I'm just saying, the minutes are the entire meeting. Can you?
You can approve the minutes,
I can approve.
subject to
Abstaining
the matter you abstained on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it just
It's a
seems
whole-
like
Yeah.
you're going to be, you're never going to be able to
Bo and I
say.
discussed that awkwardly.
Well, this is the
before-
last. This is the last
awkwardly
minute
before.
meeting that.
Yeah, so
included
just
the-
note on your vote, Zach, that you're abstaining as to that application.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Bo and I discussed that before, because we have the same problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you'd have the same.
We have the same issue. Yeah. But otherwise, I, subject to where I abstain for the just relax. And Antoinette will note that in the minutes, and when I edit them, I will too.
Just
When
because now
people are
it's
abstaining, they back out a
adjourned,
minute approval with
Well,
a
that's what
the relevant paragraph.
I
No,
voted.
no,
Yeah, I know that came once before.
I'll edit it, I'll edit it and make sure we do it, okay?
I vote aye,
All right,
Antonio.
good.
me too.
That, okay, they're approved.
Right,
The minutes of April
yeah.
29. Now, do we have those copies,
There's no
Antoinette?
copies of those as far as I can see.
Okay, I will, she said I may not have approved those, I guess, 429, I'm gonna have to find out why that didn't happen. I'm pretty sure I sent them to everybody, but I'll go back and find it in the files. And then the minutes of May 6
Well, this
are
is
still,
quite a-
need to be sent before everybody, so that covers the minutes. Okay, June 24, 5 PM, work session.
I was absent.
What?
June, you're saying?
No,
That's
our next
not
meeting.
yet.
Next meeting will be
Oh, I'm
June.
so sorry. I
saying
thought you
you're
wanted me- No, I'm here.
Next meeting will be June 24th on.
Wake up, sorry.
on-
Excuse
on-
me.
On Monday, and then the public session will be on July 1. On June 24, Roy, there's a chance I won't be back from Luke's wedding in time. 50 planes in the airplane, in Boise.
Okay.
Okay, but otherwise, we'll do that one. All right,
Right.
Kathy, you'll be on board for the planning work on June 24?
Yep.
Good. Okay. There, any other matters to be brought up by the board? And I'll entertain a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I make a motion to close the meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Second that?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Pam.